Today I'm on the lookout for an incredibly special species. So I've come to an isolated woodland in the heart of the Yorkshire Dales, as it's one of the last remaining strongholds in England for the red squirrel. A species which was once common throughout the UK, but has faced pressures from habitat loss, as well as the introduction of the invasive grey squirrel. I'm also very excited for today's shoot, as I'm getting to try out a lens I have dreamt about for a long time, which is the Sigma 500 f5.6, which has been very kindly loaned to me by Sigma UK, so a big thank you to them for that. Now for today's shoot, there are two main challenges when it comes to photographing red squirrels, the first of which is pretty apparent as you enter the woodland, and this is that there is far less light than usual. In fact, it's so dark in these woods, it reminds me of the final season of Game of Thrones. On top of this, we have the red squirrels themselves, as this particular group seemed incredibly curious, and in fact they were often too close to photograph.
You trying to film me now?
But under normal shooting conditions, the 3.2 meter minimum focus distance I don't think would be too much of a problem. For subjects which were further away, I found that the lens was incredibly sharp. Even on my relatively lower resolution Sony a7 III, I found that even if I had to do heavy crops in post, for example with this kestrel sat on top of the viaduct, there was still plenty of detail that I would be able to recover. The big difference between that shot and shooting in the woods, as I spoke about a little bit earlier, is that the woods are far darker, and this means that I wouldn't be able to use as fast a shutter speed as that previous photo if I wanted to get a clean shot, in order to do these larger crops, and having a slower shutter speed like this ultimately risks getting a blurry photo. With that in mind, I wanted to share with you a few quick tips which I've found useful when shooting in these sort of conditions. The first of which is to simply look for pauses in the action, as this will mean there's less motion that you'll need to capture. Now on some of these photos, you'll still notice a little bit of motion. For example with this photo, if we look around the area around the nose, you'll see that it's not quite as sharp. But the overall picture is sharp enough where I would be happy to put it on Instagram or perhaps even print it out. The next tip would be to use a high frame rate and to take lots of photos. Ultimately, the nice pictures that I'm showing you now are the nice social media ready photos, but there are plenty of photos from this shoot which didn't make the cut. For example, this photo right here where the squirrel is doing its best impression of a drill bit. The next thing I wanted to talk about is aperture. This is quite a simple one to cover, as what you'll want to do is to make sure that your lens is as wide as possible. On this lens, that means we are shooting at f5.6, which is not quite as fast as the f4 lenses, but they cost more than my car. With this in mind, I am more than happy to shoot at f5.6. Under these conditions, where the squirrels are getting quite close to you, you may be able to get away with shorter focal length lenses, like a 70-200 2.8 that my friend James was using on the day, which as you can see he's able to use a much faster shutter speed as he has this additional luxury of a lower aperture, meaning that he's able to let in far more light. But if the subjects were further away, this wouldn't have been an option with that lens. And my final tip is in regards to stabilisation. Now there are two different forms of stabilisation that I want to take a look at. The first is in-camera stabilisation. This is easily accessible on most cameras, or additionally on some lenses. For example with this 500mm lens, as you can see when the stabilisation is off, the video looks as shaky as the US economy. And when we turn the stabilisation on, I wouldn't say that the video is rock solid, but definitely a lot of the shake has been removed. On top of this, there are other external ways to stabilise yourself, one of which could be using a tripod, or with a little bit of thinking, you can utilise what's around you.
So I'm just using this bench now to support myself, so that when I've got a slow shutter speed, I'm a lot more stable.
With all these factors combined, you'll see that I was able to achieve a much slower shutter speed than when I photographed the kestrel, and I was still able to achieve a sharp shot. Now this was actually my first time trying out a prime telephoto lens, and often I found it quite difficult to find the subject, As usually, I like to zoom out and find my subject, and then zoom in once I've found them. I'm planning on taking this lens out a few more times before I have to hand it back to Sigma, and I'd like to make a longer video comparing the prime lens to my usual zoom lens. So if you're interested in that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. And finally, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next one.